Welcome to Love and Trauma, the real deal. I'm Danielle Sebastian, best-selling author, coach, and yes, I've been through the marriage trenches myself. This show is all about how to actually deal with trauma in relationships and make it work without losing your mind. If you're ready for honest talk, no fluff, and tools that cut through the noise, tune in because let's face it, love can be a bit of a mess, but it's a mess worth figuring out. This is Love and Trauma, the real deal. What happens when the wake-up calls get louder and we still don't listen? In this episode of Love and Trauma, the real deal, I sit down with transformational coach and speaker Matt Gerlach, and his story is nothing short of breathtaking. From panic attacks so severe he thought he was dying, to uncovering the childhood trauma hiding beneath his physical symptoms, Matt takes us on a raw, honest, and deeply healing journey. Today, in my interview with him, we talk about how anxiety and burnout can be messages from buried trauma, the connection between trauma, our health, success, and relationships, why boundaries, self compassion, and nervous system care are non negotiable, and how Matt went from surviving to truly thriving with vulnerability, honesty, and humility along the way. And if you've ever wondered why you're so tired, anxious, or stuck, despite doing all the right things, this episode will open your eyes and your heart. Matt's story proves that the breakdowns can absolutely become breakthroughs. And if you stay to the end, his definition of anxiety, the boiling water metaphor, is what he wishes everyone knew about trauma and healing, and it will stay with you long after you finish watching. So let's get right to it. I'm going to jump right into it, telling us what happened in 2016 that
Yeah,
made
thank you.
this big shift.
Thank you. Really, I believe that our life sends us wake-up calls. Our lives are always speaking to us. And in 2016, I was leveling up. I was changing things about my life. I had no idea what I was like getting myself into, but I was in a partnership with. I am in the same partnership with my almost husband, David. And we'd been together for about 4 years at that point, and I just was laid off from a job and had to figure that out and started my own business. And we decided to move from New York, where we were living, to Los Angeles, where I'm from. And in hindsight, like, well, it's taken a lot of analysis and discovery and retrospection to figure out what was really happening, but um, it was a huge shock to my nervous system. And what I really needed to do at this point was to love myself more than I loved somebody else. And I also was starting a business, and my foundation was just it just wasn't there. Like, I didn't lack confidence. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't have courage and confidence. I lacked them. And so I started this business. We were moving, and all of a sudden, like, I started to really feel depressed. Back then, I would have called it worrying. I was worrying incessantly. I remember one of the lowest points. I lived by Madison Square Park in Manhattan, and it was like it was freezing. And I remember walking around the park, like on the phone with a friend, like just crying. And I smoked like almost that whole pack of cigarettes. Like I mean, the smoking is crazy too, but it was freezing, and I was still out there, like. But yeah, I mean, I was suffering really, really bad. And I started down what I call my healing journey. I went to the doctor and found out that I had high blood pressure. No big surprise because I was stressed out and smoking a pack of cigarettes every day. But that made me feel like, I mean, I was really worried about my health. And all of this led to where panic attacks started happening, and depression got really, really, really bad. And actually, it got so bad that on the first night David and I landed in LA, the day we moved here, I ended up going to the hospital thinking I was having a heart attack. And then kind of all started to unfold from there. I I grew up in a home that I would say that like there was love, but something always felt off. And at this point, I was going to therapy and just like it became unavoidable. We had to address my childhood. And my childhood just left me feeling completely worthless, like something was wrong with me for just everything, and like just like that I was a flawed human and broken. And this really came out. It was during a couples therapy session. My partner and I were in couples therapy. We were in couples therapy for a very long time, and I would say it was very, very good. So, I highly recommend couples therapy. It was a Friday night. We were really fun people back then, going to couples therapy on a Friday night. And she was telling me, she was like, Matt, like, tell David what you need, tell him what you need. And she kept pushing me. And we had a good relationship. Like like
Mhm.
she thought she thought that it was safe to do so. And then I mean, it was safe. Like we just figured out what was going on. And I started bawling. And it was like, oh my God, I can't express my needs. If I say what I need, then I'm going to be punished for it. Then I'm going to be, then I'm going to be left. My needs aren't okay. And at that moment, it became clear that there was a lot from my childhood that needed to be repaired.
Oh my goodness. And tell me what this, so was it a heart attack or was it a panic attack? Would
No,
that happen in the hospital?
yeah, going back, it was a panic attack. It's funny. I mean, this was not
Really?
funny, but this was in
Yeah.
2017 by this point, so 5 years ago. And it was just about 6 months ago that I realized that that actually was a panic attack. Like I knew it wasn't a heart attack, but I never realized like that's what it
You didn't
was.
put the
No,
correlation together.
yeah,
Wow.
freaking
Wow.
out and thought I was dying and ran to the hospital.
Yeah. And what did your partner think of all this?
You know, it's interesting. I think, God, I mean, no one's really ever like, or maybe I just feel so close with you, and we've had so many conversations. I think
Yeah.
he's always like thought I would be okay.
Yeah.
Like,
We'll figure it out, huh?
yeah, like I mean,
Oh,
like he didn't get overly activated about it. I mean, I think it was kind of like Matt's worried enough about everything for the both of us. Like, wasn't, I mean, there was a time when I was like really, suffering from stress really, really bad, and that was affecting our relationship. But I mean, it was really such a catalyst for us to like go through the healing together and to like learn communication and everything that we learned through couples therapy. So, I mean, to be honest, if this wouldn't have happened, this term came out of my mouth a while ago, and I love it. Like, if it wasn't for this, like, I mean, I would have just skated north of rock bottom my whole life.
yeah.
Like I don't know that I ever would have like hit a low enough point to like really uncover like what was going on. I might still be walking around the park smoking cigarettes right now, like just like operating with just enough no, don't even want to say self-love, self-tolerance to be able to like get through the day. But this like changed everything for me and for him and for us. Um, Yeah, like I think today, like still I'm just kind of laughing a little bit because it's like I still worry about me more than he does.
Well, that is somebody who has your back, right? Who is your cheerleader, who knows that you can get through it even if you feel like you don't. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
And tell me about this correlation between childhood trauma and the physical effects. What do you know now?
What do I know now? Well, I'm actually just reading the book, The Body Keeps the Score, for the second time.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. The first time, I mean, it really, really resonated. And now I'm like, I open it up and like read a paragraph and I'm like, oh my God. Like, is this written about me?
This is right on, right? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I have high
yeah.
blood pressure at 41 or 42. I mean, 42 years old. I just started a second blood pressure medication pill recently.
Mm,
I mean, I mean, the goal is that I'm not going to necessarily need to be on this for a long time, or hopefully not both of them. But yeah, I mean, I knew my body kept the score of this. Like, I'm just thinking for a moment, I want to answer this. A lot has happened since I've like talked about this. A few months ago, my shoulder started hurting, like kind of out of nowhere. And then, like, I'm kind of an Eastern medicine person. Like, I like to figure things out, like, Eastern medicine wise, if I can. And I
Mhm.
found this chiropractor that he doesn't really do adjustments. It's really more fascia release. He's an old
Mhm.
man, old wise man. And then like he came towards me and I like flinched. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's not normal." Like
Oh,
and doing like
yeah.
I mean the fascia release work that he's done, like things like and he's,
Yeah.
quiet. He sits there and like, I mean, I mean he's kind of told me that subtly, but what's happened recently is that I'm really realizing how much my body has kept the score of all of this.
Yeah.
Started about 8, 9 years ago. I tried to avoid anything about this being family related. I'm actually reading my old journals like right now from like this
Really.
time, and it's very interesting. Like I mean, a year went by and I'm like suffering, and nothing's written about my childhood at all. And then like a therapist said the word trauma, and then I started to like inquire a little bit about it. But like, and I'm finally getting to the point where I'm starting to like open up about like, oh, this happened like because of what was happening in childhood. But I was like very, and my parents, my family, and I didn't talk for a few years, and then I kind of like I think I reached a point where I wasn't in a period of extreme growth, and it made sense to like try to bury things and and about 5, 6 months ago, I started to like I just made a huge professional leap, a professional life change. Um, and a lot came up, I mean, I've had to face the confidence issues, the inadequacy issues, the inability to trust my intuition the way that one needs to when they're making big decisions. But yeah, I mean, I would say that right now, like I've never been more aware of how my body has kept the score of all of this. And I just like, like I'm seeing like I mean, there was a period where I had nightmares like every night for like, I mean, this went on for like probably 10 years. And lately it's like the past few years it's really not been so much. But I'm like realizing like, oh my God, like I never realized like it's not normal to have nightmares like that are like horrific things. And yeah, yeah, I mean, I practice yoga. I'm a yoga teacher now. I take baths often. I go for walks. I work out. I spend time in nature. I stretch, but like my body feels like I'm kind of at a place where I feel like I say this like my nervous system is kind of shot, and I'm
Yeah.
in a place of needing to realign my life to accommodate for what my nervous system needs.
Yeah. I I think that that correlation, it's so interesting. So you did not see that correlation at all until you just started learning more about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the
Yeah.
thing with trauma, like, and I know that you're an expert in generational trauma, and like we don't realize this when we're in it. We don't, and I think like,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people in my family have asthma, which like this is more of an easier to explain example. It's like we
Right.
never thought this was weird at all. And now like the more that I'm like learning, like I think one of the main causes of asthma is trauma, right?
Yes. Well, and then so many other survivors that I've talked, it's gynecological, GI, autoimmune. The list just goes on and on. And, I definitely see the toll that it's taken on my husband as well,
Hmm.
physically in his body. So tell me what your healing process has looked like. Where did you start?
Where did I start? I think with traditional therapy,
Okay.
and it's interesting. Like I mean, I'm a huge advocate of therapy. Like I still go to therapy. I think that it's kind of a little interesting when people are like, "Oh, like you're still in therapy or whatever." Like it's like you finish. I think that like I took some time off, like a year off a couple years ago, which I still totally support. I had other things going on. Now that I'm
Mhm.
back in therapy, I'm a little bit like this isn't like I think with therapy, it's a big like you're trying to find the match of the right person that's able to support you where you're at right now. Like my therapist isn't necessarily like challenging me, which is fine. Like I don't mind having someone just to kind of like talk to a bit, but I also do so much work on my own. Like I write a lot that it's the point that I'm making is I think therapy is a great entry point for everybody to
Yeah.
just start talking. But therapy quickly led into yoga. I'd been doing yoga forever and I never knew why it was making me feel good. But then therapy led into like me understanding that I needed to be in the body. And I remember like going to yoga when I started realizing what it was doing for me. And I remember this was like in the early, 2017, right after moving to LA. And I remember being there, being like, I'm trying to get the stress that's happening in my head to my feet, like trying
Yeah.
to disperse like everything was in my head. And I remember being like, oh, like I can feel like I could literally feel like my fingers carrying some of the load and getting
Yeah.
my butt to carry part of the load, my thighs, like everything, getting it out of
Yeah.
my head. And you know, like I wish I had some like more of a like a this is the three steps to healing trauma.
Oh,
But
I know, right? Wouldn't that be great?
wouldn't it be great? But it's, I mean, therapy, yoga, I found my coach that finally really helped me like take everything that I was learning and putting that into action to change my life. Honestly,
How important do you think taking care of yourself is to your healing process too?
like
Taking care of
nutritionally,
yourself. Yeah,
I mean,
nutrition,
I mean, I mean,
sleep.
I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine being any version of myself if I was like not sleeping 7, 8, 9 hours a day, drinking plenty of water. And exercising. I mean, now like it's just, like I like to look good, but really what gets me to the gym or for a run or for a hike is really just mental. Like, and I can
Yeah.
achieve that mental if I go for a 10-minute run. I mean, it's quite helpful.
Indeed. Yes. But I think that people don't correlate that very much with healing.
You need to do like I think
Yeah.
it's like we say that we need, I mean it's a practice. This is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I just like, this week like I found a book that like it wasn't the best book I've ever read, but it was like, a mindset type book and I'm reading it being like I know this stuff, which I do, but I'm reading it like this is really helping me like prime the mindset for each day. Like we don't reach this
Right.
place where it's done. You need to
No.
keep like practicing.
Right, exactly. And you're just I think that you just are more reactive, you're more anxious. All the things that you're trying to avoid are so much harder if you don't have those day-to-day things that keep you healthy.
One of the most important things for me, and again, like these aren't like massive, like
Yeah.
hard things, but like reading, honestly, like
Yeah.
I I've definitely I've definitely cleared that like memoir is like really been like I mean I'm reading a couple of more like self-improvement books right now and that's good, but it's like it's really the memoirs that have really helped me to see that like I'm not
Really.
alone and like we've
Yeah.
and you see like Glennon Doyle was like huge for me in like the beginning just to see like that we all are going through this and it's like some people are like I mean like the way through it is just being honest about how we're feeling and we call our tribe in and we start to like get the help that we need but when we're just holding this all in it's like there's no way that we can get the help we need if we're not being honest about how we're feeling.
Yeah. And I think that some of that does have to do with you don't know that there's a different way, right? I was just talking to her name is Sabrina. She was on interviewed for my show, and she was just so surprised in her 30s when she realized that everybody has stuff.
We all
Because when you are isolated and you don't, look out and see that everybody does, right? You feel so isolated and alone in your situation.
Well, and I
So,
think that's the challenge. I mean, I
yeah,
think that like a lot of us, I mean, this generational trauma thing, I mean, I've really like over these past few months, like I've really realized that like This is so deeply like entangled in families that like my health problems or the things that are going on with me is not anywhere near great enough to change this pattern. It's just it can't.
No,
And I think it's
no.
like what you said. I mean, I think that, I was talking to a group this morning about this, and it's like I think that like our families think we're going to therapy and just talking bad about them. And it's like it's not like that is not what therapy is. We are like talking about ourselves. We're learning how to admit to ourselves that we are not perfect and that we go hurt people also, and we just need to learn how to apologize for it. We need to learn to care about people. We all do things that are wrong. And those of us who are doing the work just have the ability to admit that we're imperfect.
Exactly. Yeah. And how did your healing journey change the way that you showed up in your closest relationships?
Banging your head against the wall, trying to navigate the complexities of a relationship impacted by childhood trauma, it doesn't have to be this daunting. When you're married to a partner with unresolved childhood trauma, it can feel like you're walking on eggshells, never quite knowing what will set them off. No matter what you try, it feels like there's always something triggering another emotional response that seems completely out of context. And the harder you try to fix it, the more discouraged you feel. So, what's the issue here? Navigating marriage with a trauma survivor is different. The love languages don't work. Date nights don't work. Self-help books don't help. But here's the good news. I've created something that does work. Something built from years of hard-earned lessons and real-life experience. Ready to take the first step toward real change? Let's talk. I'm offering a free one-on-one call where we'll dive into what's going on in your relationship and figure out a way forward together. This isn't just another quick chat. It's a chance to finally be heard, to share what you're going through with someone who truly gets it. No judgment, just real support. So if you're ready to start making sense of it all and find a little more peace in your marriage, book your free call now. Your happiness, your peace, and your relationship are worth it. Let's do it together.
Relationships changing, I mean,
Did
and that
it?
was the hardest thing for me, just to be like, there's something wrong with me for the way that I'm feeling, and like having to, that was really, I think, probably where therapy like was the most helpful, I think, in helping me understand how to navigate relationships like that. But yeah, like I mean, a lot changed. One of my best friends, who is a lovely person, I wish her very, very well. We haven't talked in, like I mean, like we'll never talk again, I'm sure. And I wish her well, and I'm sure she wishes me well. But it was just not a fit, and overnight it ended because like it just like yeah, we couldn't get through a conflict. I would say that like, it kind of like so this business that I started ended up becoming quite successful, which was a whole nother thing because like growing up, I was always made to believe that like I was greedy and like that I shouldn't like be chasing money, and like that kind of that my I'm kind of it's kind of I mean I haven't talked about it. I haven't talked about a lot of this stuff in a while, so I'm kind of like hearing myself saying this. It's all comfortable, by the way, but I'm just like, oh yeah, like, yeah, like really how much shame I had for the success that I'd achieved. And then my partner and I bought a nice house, and our friends came over and were like, "Oh my God, it's so nice!" And we just like, I'm a huge Brene Brown fan. Learned all about vulnerability. My relationships have come quite vulnerable where like they're like, oh my God, congratulations. And I'm like, oh my God, we can barely stand this. Like I feel so much shame for this success. And like friends being like, oh my God, like so my relationships have turned to like where I don't hide myself anymore and I say what I need to say. And friends help me when, like understand, like, I mean, it's actually, so I host this brunch club at my house. It's called the Friday Brunch Club. I started this a few months ago, and they were here this morning. It's a different group that comes through each. I do it twice a month, And it's a very, very, very vulnerable conversation. And this morning, like it kind of hits me like a lot of these people that have come have never engaged in vulnerability like this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I try to show people it's okay to just be us, to be ourselves.
So deeper, and you're not as worried about what people are thinking.
No, no, one of the things like my partner, I have a lot of thoughts. I like to share my thoughts, and we've been together for 13 years, and I feel very safe doing that. But like I've also learned like it's not all about me either.
Yeah.
Like so like I often like during the day like he'll be sitting down in the kitchen like eating lunch, and I'll be like, is it okay that I share something with you right now? And I don't mean that like my like I'm like scared. It's like that I respect his space. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel comfortable enough with myself being told, like, if he were to say, Matt, it's actually not a good time to like talk about your feelings, I can totally handle that also. Like I've
Right.
learned that like I didn't realize like how underneath a lot of this like this family and this trauma that happens, a lot of it is codependency.
Yes.
And we learn how to like my partner is allowed to tell me like it's actually not a great time to spew your feelings about what just happened right now.
That is
You're
not
really
rejection. I am not rejecting you. It literally just is a bad time.
it's a bad time. Yeah. And I've also noticed that he almost
Oh,
never says that because I think that he knows that
right.
it's like I think he knows, I mean, over the years, like opening up about my feeling, like I'm not really in a place of a lot of discomfort generally. Like if I'm coming to him, it's really not a problem hardly ever at this point. It's more that I'm like learning something
Hey.
about myself or like that I'm excited about something.
Yeah. Yeah. And you talked about boundaries.
Hmm.
So, what boundaries have you learned that you needed to set?
Boundaries, that same friend that I just mentioned that we're not, friends anymore. She said something, and I wish I can remember the way she said it, like 8 years ago or something. It was like something like life is all about boundaries. And it's true. I mean, like life is like we need to teach people how to treat us. Like, I mean, it's really going back to the codependency piece. Like, I literally tell new friends when I meet them, and like if we make plans for dinner on a Friday night, I'm like, I just want to let you know that if you like don't want to go and it's like 4 o'clock, like you can cancel. And people are like, what? I'm like,
Yeah.
no, like I like I don't think we should
Yeah.
really be doing a lot of things that we don't want to do socially. Don't bail on a
Yeah.
wedding, maybe, but like
Right.
but like, like
Yeah.
I mean, it's really like saying what you need. And like, I can't think of a single thing that like my partner would tell me that I mean, or even a close friend or even a medium friend at this point would tell me that they needed that I would blow up at them for at all.
Right.
Like we're allowed to
Yeah.
say what we need. And I think that's actually the hardest thing. Like for those of us who are survivors, like we have to be able to learn what we need, and
Yeah.
practicing boundaries is really hard. And I think that from what I've seen, I coach other people. Um, and what I see from them also, it's like it's the same thing that I went through. Like we kind of go too far, I think, in setting boundaries. Or I don't want to say too far, but like
Yeah. The pendulum can swing.
where you like, I know how to say
Mhm.
yes now, or I know how to say no. And then you like
Yeah.
kind of like become a little non-compromising or something. And then you
Yeah.
learn that like, the other people's feelings matter as well.
Right. I remember being like, okay, so to my husband, and he's like, well, I'm never gonna let anybody tell me what to do ever again, right? When
Mhm.
he started his healing journey, and it's like, okay, but um, this is a marriage, and I am gonna need you to take the garbage out
Yes, yes. Yeah.
because the pendulum did swing pretty far. Not gonna lie, for a little bit there, but we were able to bring it back in. But I do see that the boundaries setting is
I
part of
mean,
the
I guess
healing journey.
like what's kind of coming up for me throughout this conversation with you is like there's more humility that like that's
Yeah.
been like the later stages of my journey of like like admitting that I swung the pendulum a little bit too far.
Yeah. And
And
it's
I was,
okay. And
and,
people still love me.
and I was doing my best. And
Yeah.
I think like, I think like so many of us grow up like not being able to make a mistake like that,
Yeah.
where now I've learned that I can, like, you can, there's not like, unless you're doing something really bad, you're not like, you're generally going to be able to recover from most things if you approach it with humility, and an apology goes a long way.
So long, so far, especially in relationships.
Especially in
Point
relationships.
taken there. What were some of the hardest things for you to do in
Like
your
that.
healing, just in your healing? Like, what do you look back and you're like, oh, that was hard?
Admitting that, the people who like, my family that undoubtedly loves me, but that they hurt me. I
Yeah.
think that's really hard. Like, I can't, I mean, I'm hearing myself say that right now, and it's like you can't even really capture it in words. It took so long to admit that. And I think what I see a lot of is like, I think my parents have a really hard time understanding me, because they would also have to admit that their parents loved them and hurt them as well. And I
Yeah.
don't think they've done that, because like it's hard. It took a lot of
That
work.
is hard.
We're taught to have compassion for others and not for
Yeah.
ourselves as much. Like, one of the hardest things I've had to do is how to learn how to have compassion for myself. Like, I remember, um, like, everybody told me, like, I mean, for years, like for most of my life, like, Matt, you're so hard on yourself. You're so hard on yourself. That was kind of the last hill that I had to climb, because I couldn't see it. I literally, like, they would say, like, I mean, just say I lost a deal, like I'm in a business deal or something, and then just be like so mad at myself. And then, like, I mean, it's not until recently that I realized, like, what they were saying is like, no, Matt, not everybody's beating themselves up when something doesn't go their way. I couldn't see that. And I would just be like, I could have done, I mean, I guess it was such autopilot to be like, I mean, I couldn't fix that. I couldn't control that. Like, I must have done something wrong.
Yeah.
And to be kind to
Hmm.
myself now, like, right, it's like I kind of alluded to this earlier, but my business was a consulting, like, sales and marketing agency. And I left it about a year ago to go into coaching. And really, like, what happened was, like, people started seeing the changes that I've made, that I went from like this, like, anxious, worried, like, cigarette smoking, like, high
Hard on
performing,
yourself person,
to like someone that
right?
was like chill. And they started asking me for help, like, on their lives. And so I moved into helping people with their lives, and not so much just business work. But this past year, it's been like, I'm smiling saying this, because it's like, it makes me happy, but it's been like learning to trust, learning to surrender, learning to not control everything. Just like, I mean, I was saying this to my group earlier, my brunch group, but it's like, I think the secret of life is like, you do your best, and then when you're tired, you stop and you rest, and then you do it the next day,
You listen to your body. Wow. Like, but it sounds so heavy, what you were describing before. It feels so, I bet it was very heavy feeling that
Yeah.
way.
I
And
mean, it
now
was,
so much lighter.
and it's a process, I mean,
Yeah.
like, I always like think it's like, interesting when like somebody's not going through life with help, or with, therapy, whatever it might be. And
Yeah.
again, no admonishment. If somebody's out there, like, that's great, that doesn't feel that, I mean, that really, I mean, I have a lot of friends that don't really need it, in the same way that I,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like, yeah, I mean, I like to say, like, you can't read the label from inside the jar so well.
No, no, you can't. You really can't.
And I
Yeah.
needed to have a lot of help, and people, helping me see, like, just how hard how much I've been pushing, when, um, yeah, I really have
You
needed.
just, yeah, you thought that was just what everybody did, right?
Yeah.
How everybody did. And so as a coach now, because I love that you're doing that, that you're helping others. What patterns do you see in your clients that remind you of your own journey?
You're helping people with like similar problems to what you're going through, and it's a mirror, but it's like it's such a compassionate mirror. Like I'm giving my clients compassion that I am learning to give to myself.
Oh, yeah, I do like that. Yeah, you're giving it to somebody else that needs it.
Mhm. My definition of anxiety is that my definition of anxiety is that it's like our inside needs aren't matching our outside environment. We don't have the abilities, skills, wherewithal to recognize that changes need to be made. And it's like our body's attacking
Yeah,
because it's like,
resisting.
yeah, we're scared. Like I'm anxious because it's like I mean, it's like literally the way that I would describe the way that I felt 8 or 9 years ago was like my foot was in hot water and I was like, am I supposed to be in pain right now? Like this feels hot, but I can't really trust myself. Like they
Yeah.
told me that this is supposed to feel good and that this is the only way. So I'm just going to sit here with my foot in hot water. I'm going to numb it because I don't know what else to do because I think that something's wrong with me for feeling like my foot is on fire right now.
Oof. Yeah,
So
that's a lot. Mhm.
generally, I think what I have seen is that it's uncovering like what is like that discomfort and getting to the core of what's
Or
causing that anxiety. And I mean, I think it's an opportunity right now to like clarify like trauma. One of the big things for me that was very freeing that you asked me earlier, one of the hardest parts of this journey was
mm,
admitting like
yeah,
that people left scars on you. It was realizing the difference between big T and little T trauma. Like big T trauma, throwing down a flight of stairs, prisoner of war, and I think so many of us say, well, that never happened to me. So like it's not really fair for me to say that I like trauma. But then
mhm,
you start to realize like, your mom saying like, are you going to have more food? You've already had like one scoop of mashed potatoes. Hearing that every single day of your whole life, like take a step back for a second and like imagine like someone not you have, I mean, like
yeah.
imagine somebody else. I mean, can you imagine telling someone that every day of their lives and having them like not like have
Not have
issues?
problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or,
No,
your uncle
no.
putting his hand on your lap like when you're 5 years old and like, telling your mom and having her say like just deal with it. I mean, these are like
Yeah.
these things are like I'm hearing myself saying this and I'm thinking of the children in my life and thinking like if those things were happening to them, like yes, when they're 30 years old, they're absolutely going to have challenges from that. They're going to have problems.
Yes.
So, I mean, and for me, like, I grew up when, spanking and physical abuse, like, wasn't as, I mean, it was a lot more common than it is now. I
Yeah.
would say that that the scars that like permeate my childhood are almost solely emotional. Like
Yeah.
it's not the physical stuff. It's really the emotional stuff.
One more question for you.
Sure.
What's the one thing that you wish that everybody knew about the connection between trauma and health?
To stop doubting it. Like to completely stop doubting it. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
just like don't even like I don't even know. I mean, I mean, I might have spent like of this past, I mean, of the 8 or 9 years I've been on this, I mean, I probably spent the first 2/3 of it just like really not even like maybe the first 3/4 of it, not even like trying to talk myself out of it being a real thing. But no, I mean, like it's a real thing. Seeing like this chiropractor, very, very, very gentle, like lovely person who really got me to see that. Like when he came at me and I'm like
Yeah.
flinching, he's just like, oh, like, and this is after I've spent $250,000 on therapy and like
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So imagine what it was 10 years ago. I mean, I probably flinched 10 times as bad as I did.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, I mean, I think that like, I mean, and also I will say this, I mean, it's not too late, to help. Like if you've done something like to if you've, not been the best parent and you've traumatized your kids, like my health would be, the more that I realize that I'm not crazy, the better my health improves.
Mm, yeah. Well, because you're able to address it and fix it, right?
But somebody apologizing for what they've done,
Yeah.
would certainly, it certainly wouldn't hurt my health.
No, it would not. No, it would not. Well, thank you so much for getting so deep with me today.
I think the more that we can just be honest about like our feelings, really, like when I think about like the biggest, I've just never been, my feelings have always been denied. And I
Yeah.
think the more that you let people just honor their feelings, like, honor people's feelings, that it's a game changer. Make people, I mean, Oprah says this, everyone in the world wants to be understood, seen, and heard. Like that's the number one, I think don't quote me verbatim,
Yeah.
but it's like,
Yes.
like she said something, I've interviewed 50,000 people. The number one commonality is like everyone wants to be understood, seen, and heard.
Yes. Yes. And we start with ourselves sometimes, right? Listening to ourselves. Well, your story is so positive, and I am just so excited to share it with the world to show people that it can be done, right? It can be done. And if you are in that moment where you're having a wake up call, what did you just say? Don't deny it, or
It's a gift.
accept
I mean,
it. It's a
it's a
gift.
gift. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, like you're waking up. Like, it's better than skating north of rock bottom.
Oh, yes. Oh, we'll end on that. It is. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Danielle.
This conversation with Matt had me nodding, tearing up, and literally saying to myself out loud, yes, exactly. And here's what I want you to walk away with, my 3 biggest takeaways from this interview. The first thing is that your nervous system doesn't lie. And if it is shot, it is trying to tell you something. One of the most powerful parts of Matt's story was when he shared how his body just couldn't keep going. The panic attacks, insomnia, total burnout. His nervous system was done. And the hardest part was admitting that the real issue wasn't just stress or overwork, but that it could have been or was unresolved trauma that he didn't even realize it was running the show. So if you're listening to this and thinking this feels like me, maybe it's time to stop resisting and start exploring what your body has been saying all along. Number 2, I want you to take away that you can't truly heal what you keep pushing through. Matt said something that stopped me in my tracks. I was skating north of rock bottom. I felt that because so many of us are functioning just well enough to survive, but not well enough to feel whole. And it wasn't until he slowed down and actually faced what was underneath all the things began to shift for real. And third, I want you to listen to me. Listen to how hard he was on himself. He was so hard on himself and he couldn't even recognize self-compassion. Matt shared how for most of his life, he was his own harshest critic, driven, performing, never enough. And the idea of being kind to himself, he couldn't see it. It wasn't even on his radar. But everything changed when he began treating himself like someone he loved. That moment, that shift, it was the beginning of true healing. So, for those of you out there who are feeling like your nervous system is shot, that you're skating north of rock bottom, this show is for you because once you stop running and start listening, that's where everything starts to change. Thank you so much for being here today, and we will see you next week. All right, that's a wrap for today on Love and Trauma, the real deal. Big thanks to my guests for sharing their insights. Couldn't have done it without you. Now, for those of you looking to take this journey further, I've got something special.
Head to my website to grab Real Tactics, Real Healing, a survivor's playbook for navigating a relationship with a trauma survivor. It's packed with everything you need to know, do, and say to navigate the emotional minefield, find your balance, and regain your self-worth and happiness.